Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Thunderdome Investing. I am your Thunderdome Investing analyst, David Gibson, and we have another juicy episode worth of information in this one. A big FDA announcement, dwindling competition, and the calm before the storm. Stay until the end of the video to get caught up on all the madness. As always, these videos are strictly for entertainment and educational purposes only. They are not intended for financial or investment advice, and I am not a licensed financial advisor. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Now let's get into today's video. To kick things off, I want to talk about the most recent news involving Anavex Life Scienes. Well, kinda. On July 21st, the FDA had announced that George Tidmarsh had been appointed Director of the Center of Drug Evaluation and Research by Commissioner Marty Makary. With over 30 years of experience spanning academia and biotech, Tidmarsh had led the development of 7 FDA-approved drugs. As CDER Director, Tidmarsh will lead one of the FDA's most critical divisions, overseeing reviews and approvals for prescription, over-the-counter, generic, and biological drugs. But here's where it gets interesting. Back in October of 2011, Anavex had appointed Tidmarsh as an executive director, a consulting position where he guided clinical trial strategy and FDA engagement, particularly for their lead Alzheimer's candidate, blarcamesine, which is also the particular drug that I've been focusing on when discussing Anavex and their developments. With Tidmarsh now in charge of the CDER, Anavex essentially has an industry insider with historical ties to the company, guiding strategy from within the FDA, which could mean many things for Anavex specifically. Evidentiary standards, trial design, review pathways, all of these things could become more clear for Anavex down the road. Tidmarsh's influence could also help shape FDA interactions, potentially smoothing the pathway for US trials or eventual NDA submissions. Tidmarsh's board and leadership means that he understands both investors' expectations and regulatory thresholds. His new role might signal to investors that Anavex-backed assets now have a direct line to high-level regulatory insight. Transitioning from Anavex board advisor to FDA CDER director, Anavex gains indirect leverage from long-standing familiarity. So you can start to piece together why this appointment of Tidmarsh could be so influential on Anavex down the road. Moving right along, we have a pretty big development as it pertains to Iovance Biotherapeutics. But much like the Tidmarsh announcement for Anavex, it's not as direct. So let's get into some of the specifics. On the morning of July 22nd, the Replimune group received a complete response letter, or a CRL, from the FDA. This is going to have a ripple effect on the way that Iovance will be trading here soon. I'll go into more detail about that here in a second, but let's just go through a quote from Yahoo Finance about the situation of Replimune. The CRL indicates that the FDA is unable to approve the application in its present form. The FDA has indicated that the IGNITE trial is not considered to be an adequate and well-controlled clinical investigation that provides substantial evidence of effectiveness. Furthermore, the FDA said the trial cannot be adequately interpreted due to the heterogeneity of the patient population. The CRL also states that there are items related to the confirmatory trial study design which need to be addressed, including contribution of components. Importantly, no safety issues were raised. The CRL delays the Replimune group massively as they continue on their journey to get their RP1 platform FDA approved, which only widens the door for Iovance. Replimune and Iovance are essentially competing in the same space of tumor-fighting therapies, but Iovance already has an FDA-approved therapy, which now gives Iovance a huge advantage in market exclusivity and clinical positioning. In the fast-evolving oncology market, this is a highly significant development for Iovance. Iovance is eyeing a date somewhere between August 6th and August 14th to discuss their third quarter earnings, so that's a date that you can look forward to as well. This current time frame for Iovance can prove to be crucial for their company in the long run, in my opinion. You drop new data that shows that getting the therapy earlier in treatment lines raises the response rate exponentially, you have your biggest competitor hit a roadblock, and you have your third quarter earnings date to go in there and right your wrongs. We could potentially see a ton of movement in the Iovance share price in the next coming weeks. And this is a situation that I talked about 2 episodes ago that could be the case. And that's why when I did my Replimune trade, I got in and got out during the ramp up. I didn't want to stay up until the PDUFA date because of a situation like this occurring. And the Iovance share price has already started to go up as a response to this situation. Lastly, there's a company that has been making waves over the last month or so that I think has a chance to be a notable player in the next generation of immuno-oncology. That company is Biotech. Biotech is advancing a first-of-its-kind off-the-shelf therapeutic cancer vaccine with a pivotal phase 3 trial nearing its primary endpoint that has already earned a breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA based on encouraging phase 1-2 melanoma data. IO was named among the Fast Company's most innovative biotech companies of 2025, ranking 9th globally for pioneering off-the-shelf vaccines. IO Biotech is a clinical-stage Danish biopharma specializing in immune-modulating therapeutic cancer vaccines built on their proprietary T-Win platform. Their flagship candidate Cylembio targets the immunosuppressive enzymes IDO and PD-L1 in their tumor microenvironment. It's being tested in a phase 3 trial combined with pembrolizumab in advanced melanoma, with primary endpoint PFS readout expected in Q3 2025. External validation and a clear regulatory path are helping to position IO Biotech to become successful. At Cohen on May 27th, Qasim Ahmad, the CMO for IO Bio, said that they almost reached the 226 events they needed for the primary endpoint. He also said they were going to need about 8 weeks to secure the data after they got all 226 events. 8 weeks since the beginning of June puts us at July 27th, which is this Sunday. So data could be disclosed any day now, and I'm super excited for what they come out with. IO Biotech is definitely one that I will continue to keep a close eye on over the next couple of weeks. Thank you all for watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed these updates. If you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, be sure to like and subscribe. But as always, I'm David Gibson, and this has been another episode of Thunderdome Investing.